561 years in prison. Many of you wrote to me about this number, a number that is being floated around about the potential amount of prison time that the failed former president, twice arrested, within hours to be thrice arrested, of course, Donald Trump. We're going to look at that number and talk about what it means. Just as a reminder, indeed, Donald Trump will be arrested and booked today in Washington, D.C. This is on federal charges, the 4 felony charges we discussed earlier this week. These are related to the alleged disenfranchisement and defrauding of voters by virtue of trying to push fake slates of electors in states where Joe Biden won the popular vote, trying to put them there, the fake electors, to say, we declare our electoral votes for Donald Trump, even though he lost. He is not charged for the things he said. His First Amendment rights have not been violated, as we have discussed. We will, in fact, hear from Donald Trump's own former Attorney General, William Barr, who says this is not being arrested for things you said. It is not the case at all. But let's focus on 561 years. Trump, in fact, attempting to fundraise on that number. Mediaite reports 561 years in prison. Trump fundraising off of recent indictment with dire warning you could be, quote, thrown in jail for 6 lifetimes. The article says, this is by Colby Hall, it's not out of the ordinary for a politician to try to spin negative news into a positive while fundraising off of it. But the manner in which former President Trump is spinning his latest indictment for, among other things, allegedly defrauding the U.S. is patently absurd. And it reposts Trump's post in which he talks about how they want to put him in prison for 561 years over witch hunts, that it's all about making everyone afraid and that it's not about Trump, it's about you. This has been Trump's constant statement. They're not indicting me, they're indicting you. And that Trump's willing to risk his life for your freedom and please contribute money, send me money, send me money. The Hill also has a write-up about this. Trump says he faces 561 years in prison in fundraising emails. So what's the truth of this? There are really 2 layers to this. Layer 1 is Trump specifically likely to actually have any prison time? And I believe that the answer is probably not, but the latest indictments, which will lead to today's arrest, are the most likely charges thus far to potentially land Trump behind bars. And notice that I'm not gleefully saying lock him up. I continue to say, if it is the appropriate sentence for Trump to serve prison time, if he is found guilty or takes a plea, then he should be sentenced like any other defender would be if I did the things Trump is accused of doing or if you did the things Trump is accused of doing. That's called due process. That's called law and order. But let's put that aside for a second. Whether Trump specifically is really going to be sentenced is a separate question from what about this number 561 years? Now, it is true that if Trump were sentenced to the maximum sentence for every charge against him, and those sentences were served consecutively, yes, 561 years is a real number. And this just means if you look at the 78 felony charges across the 3 criminal cases so far, you go, okay, here's 31 felonies. This one could get you up to 4 years. This one could get you up to 5 years. And you just add it all up. You get 561 or a number very close to it. Now, in reality, in practice, the way these large cases often go is over the process of adjudicating and trying the case and going through it. Sometimes charges will be combined. The number of charges will be reduced. Some charges will be eliminated, either because the prosecution doesn't have an interest in pursuing every single charge individually, or they realize that they don't actually have the evidence for every single charge individually. If you get to the point of negotiations around a plea, often charges will be consolidated or dropped, or there will be something like, listen, if he pleads guilty to these 5 charges, we'll get rid of the other 26, this sort of thing. So the number of charges is often reduced by the time you get to the end of a case, be it a verdict or a plea agreement. At sentencing, you often will not get the maximum for every single charge for which you are found guilty. That would further reduce this number from 561 to a much lower number. And then in addition to that, even once you are sentenced, often you will see that some of these sentences will be served concurrently rather than consecutively, meaning if you have one sentence for 4 years and another for 5, the timer starts on both of those on the same day. So it's not 9, but it is 5. In 5 years, you serve the 4 and the 5. And then, of course, in addition to that, you have the practical consideration, which is that at Trump's age and his health, I mean, he's obese and doesn't eat a good diet, doesn't exercise. Statistically speaking, a 10-year sentence is a life sentence. So that is certainly a practical consideration as well. So 561 years. Is it literally accurate in a hypothetical sense? Max sentence on every charge served consecutively? Yes. Do we really need to think that it is likely or even probable that Trump gets even a 40-year sentence? I believe the answer is no. And from every legal opinion I've read, that's the situation. That's where we are right now. We need much time to see all of these different cases and potentially the future Georgia case and potentially another future case federally. It's going to take a while for this to work itself through the system. I spoke to a lawyer yesterday and said, hey, my instinct is this certainly will not be resolved by January of 2025 when Trump would take office. What do you think? And my lawyer friend said, absolutely not. There is no way in hell that all of these cases are resolved by the time the next presidential term starts. So that's where we are. So summertime is in full swing. It's hot. It's humid. When you get sweaty, many of us know all too well what it means when you wear traditional underwear. It's the sticking, rubbing, and chafing. It is not pleasant. That's why our sponsor, Sheath Underwear, has been a game changer for so many people. Sheath Underwear is ergonomically designed with a pouch in the front. Keep everything comfortable and separate. When you wear the sheath underwear, everything stays dry and cool. Instead of sticking together, you feel the air flowing. It's great. It's really something you have to try to understand. This has been my go-to underwear for years, all year round, but especially when it's hot outside. The humidity is bonkers. They have plenty of different colors and styles, something for everybody, and the sticking and the readjusting. Experience underwear comfort like you have never felt before. Try Sheath. Go to sheathunderwear.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman for 20% off. That's SHEATH underwear.com/ and use the code Pacman for 20% off. The info is in the podcast notes. Okay, that seems like an error, so I'm going to redo it one more time. That's SHEATH underwear.com/Pacman. Use the code Pacman for 20% off. The link is in the podcast notes.